Factorio. I don't wanna start so dramatically, but the music just kicks in. So the reason I'm here is to just share how important Factorio is for you and why you maybe want to play it. The thing that I realized, I'm currently on Vulcanus, which is a planet that you can get to. The reason I'm showing this is because when you start playing the game, you play on Novice and then you have a choice of those three planets. I've went to Vulcanus, and when I went to Vulcanus, I went there because my copper ran out. Copper 32k occupied. Yeah, so why did my copper run out? No military science. I made like 500 or something military science by hand on Vulcanus, and that was just a major mistake. So what does this have to do with anything? The reason it's important is because when you play Factorio, it's such a complex game that it teaches you lessons. It starts to show you some very important things for life. Especially if you're like me, where I enjoy programming, I enjoy some more complex things. And I want to learn how to code, how to make games. And that's the key point here. If you want to participate into programming projects or something that's more complex than usual, you want to play this game and not play some other games, because other games give you dopamine, they give you that feeling of enjoyment, but this one gives you the feeling of being fulfilled. It, it doesn't feel empty like those other games after you play them. Let me show you an example of what happens in other games. So, in other games you get a gun, you get some upgrades, and those upgrades are usually like one currency. They cost coins or they cost whatever the currency of the game. And you get dopamine every time you research one of those upgrades because the game is designed this way. But other games have like thousands of those upgrades. And the difference between them and Factorio is you find your enjoyment from playing the game itself. And here, on this save, I have about 42 hours. Okay, not that. And in 42 hours, you would expect that somebody playing a game where they shoot guns and upgrade projectiles, they would have like level 100 or level 200 something upgrades. Because the game literally has no other content, it's just simple shoot enemies and that sort of bullshit. But Factorio is different because I'm on 42 hours and level 2. And I find this incredible. The way it's designed, it's connected everything. If you want to learn more about it, just go to the Factorio Friday Fact 366. Since that Friday Fact is specifically about productivity of programmers, but what I realized is when you say something, I'm going to read directly from the Friday Fact in a moment. I don't have it folded yet. So what you read directly from there can be replaced. If you read the word code, it can be replaced with the word factory. I've just opened it. Let's see if I can switch on OBS. Browser. Oh, I see. Okay, that's gonna do it. So what happens here? Let me search factory, not code. My general thought was that we maintain the quality of the factory to be quite high, and we have a reasonably good work methodology. But we were the victims of selective blindness in many places actually. It is interesting how some pieces of factory were just good from the start and stayed pretty good throughout all the years, even when it was expanded a lot, and some of the factory just deteriorated heavily. So, just making sure I don't double record, which part of the factory was deteriorating here? Is this very specific? Am I seeing things? No. This very specific piece, here you can see how I've turned off the copper. The problem with this, thank you autosave, I'm recording and it takes a considerable amount of time, the autosave. So the deterioration happens when you build like this, right? You have a foundation, a header for the furnaces, the input goes in, there's a header, and I have a simple one that I haven't used in this specific scenario. But what happens if you try to expand? For example, here you can see those are crafting speed 1 stone furnaces over here, and those are crafting speed 2 steel furnaces, so those are faster. The belts here, the output 15 items a second, the output 30 items a second, so basically double the output. And when you want more iron to expand, where are you gonna put it? Obviously not here, somewhere out here. But now you have to logistically route more things, because here you've got more buildings and more things that happen, and you just can't build like this. It works up to a point, and that's what Factorio teaches you. Here I've also turned it off intentionally. If you really want to learn how to deal with those bigger projects, those more complex ones, you will have to make sure that you can deal with this. It's basically a test for you, like checking, can you deal with a simple game, or can you not deal with a simple game? Going back to the Friday fact, deteriorated heavily. You can see how I first start here. No, I start here the iron, then the copper, then I expand to red science, green science, and I try to add more things, and this is kind of a mess. Why is it? I guess power kicked in or something. And now vision is interesting anyway. Now it's out of power. Okay. The problem here, you can see just how messy those things look. Those buildings, you've got connection, cramped stuff, no space. This space I could fill, but I can't actually fill nicely because if I try to fill this space, I will have to route things in and out. And how do I route things in and out through this diagonal? Like, I can't put some underground belts. I can't put some red undergrounds that weave through, but I just can't do it easily. And in terms of programming, when you start making changes to the factory, it's going to really skyrocket the amount of time you spend on those changes. And here somewhere, making changes is hard. Making small changes is annoying. We just don't like this part of the factory, and we want to spend as little time as possible working with it. See the connection? Nobody wants to deal with having to route a red belt through here, because it just takes a while, and it's not enjoyable. For some people it might be enjoyable, but for most of us this is just a routine example, a routine scenario that just happens over and over. And then here's the honeycomb, the wax foundation in the beehive. I like it because it means when you get enough experience in the game, you start getting these like, for example, here, look how clean some of those builds look. They look the same, you can just copy paste, but they also look very clean on the map, they look nice, they're built properly, because I already have a very good experience with building those furnace stacks, since that's literally the first thing you do in the game. Well, some people, first thing they do is automating red science with an assembler like this, something, whatever, and then they directly feed it to labs. Something like this. And that's what some people do, but it's not sustainable, it's not automated, it just doesn't make much sense to do it. This, however, makes more sense, but it still does not make any sense why I skipped military science, causing me to be incapable of dealing with those guys. So I ended up building small instead of building big, instead of tapping into this scope a patch, which is completely accessible. Look at those tiny nests, but I just can't get rid of those nests because of my damage. And because I don't have... Oh, I do have magazines, but that was like my last ditch effort to try and make something. And you can see that it was a last ditch effort because there's just requester chests over the entire place, trying to bypass the belt routing. And, well, no networks because the robots are out of power, but I have like 120 200, less than 200 logistic bots doing with dealing with this. You need many more than 200 logistic bots to deal with something like this. So many chests everywhere, requesters. And that's what you learn. You learn to experience some more complex problems, to solve them, to play nicely, to eventually be able to build a factory that you can expand and expand and expand. And you can build a better foundation once you research something like trains, for example. You research those, you automate the locomotive, the cargo, the rails, automate all that, and you can just make a rail base now. And rail bases are incredible. They're place a rail right through here. Every rail is high throughput and you can just branch it. Place a building here. This is your iron smelter, for example. This is your copper smelter. Then the train goes here. It makes red science. It makes green science. It makes blue science. And instead of doing this where the blue science here localized takes red circuits, the blue circuits, not blue science, takes red circuits from here, and those red circuits are specialized for the blue circuits. You can extract all those features, just like Uncle Bob. When I watch his videos, he says that it's always a great thing to extract functions with the same responsibility. I personally don't think this is quite true, but you know what they say, throw the bad stuff, take the good ones. And so, what I would take from this advice of Uncle Bob is, for example, if you want to build something, you build science, for example. The game is all about science. You get science, 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 all sorts of science. 12, I believe. 12, yeah. So you make the red one with copper and iron gears. And instead of making copper here, iron gears here, and then red here, and all of those are connected by train, you can just do iron gears and red science in one place without having to make more congestion in the train system by making trains transport gears. Otherwise, if you make a gear factory, for example, here, let me look at iron plates, 100 stack size, gears, 100 stack size. So if you make a build for gears specifically, you would have to take 2 trains in and then take 1 train out. So that's a total of 3 trains per cycle, per full train, because 2 iron plates makes 1 gear. And so what happens is, this cycle creates trains. But instead of having to deal with 2 input trains and then 1 output train, you can just make those 2 input trains enter the red science build. And there's no 1 output trains for gears. The 1 output train is going to be for the red science. And add to those 2 input trains a copper plate train. And now you get 3 trains input and 1 train output to make red science 4 trains in total. Otherwise you would need 3 trains for the gears and then another one for the copper, so 4, and another one for the red signs, so 5. 4 trains of congestion is better than 5 trains of congestion. And that's the sort of problems that you will have to solve with the train base. Especially when it gets a little bit more difficult. Like, let's say, green science is really simple, but it's still one of those things that, let's be real, if you're going to be making yellow inserters on a rail base, why? So basically the idea is absolutely the same. Transport belts made out of iron and more iron. So 1 train, 2 trains, 3 trains, because this is equal to 2 iron plates. So 3 trains here of inputs, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. Let's just assume it's 8 trains and a half, because 1 copper plate is equal to 2 copper cable, and this is 1.5 copper cable. So to take a train out, you need about 8.5 trains. I may be wrong with this, but just let's assume it. Otherwise, you would have to have an output train for transport belt to green science, and then another output train for inserter to green science. And that creates 2 more trains worth of congestion. Then you get to military science. That's even more complex. Then you get to the chemical science, the thing that most people who don't really cope well with the complex game of Factorio, they fail right here. And now some of you who are more familiar with the game, you would ask, why would somebody fail at blue science? It's so simple. Well, oil processing. There's a reason basic oil processing exists, and there's a reason that there's advanced oil processing. This is much more complex of a recipe. And some people just don't cope well with it. It's a super simple recipe to deal with. I can't really find it. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Advanced oil processing. Heavy oil, white oil, petroleum gas. It's super simple of a recipe because water is infinite. Crude oil is infinite. You pipe crude oil from crude oil yield. Pipe it. The white line. You pipe water from the lake, it's infinite, and you combine those. Here's the crude oil, here's the water. That's your inputs. Then you just take out the heavy oil, the light oil, and the petroleum. That's it. And the simplicity of this recipe is because you can transform heavy oil into light oil and transform white oil into petroleum. I don't think there is another recipe like that. If there's other recipes with multiple outputs and multiple inputs, then you aren't capable of transforming the outputs into each other. Finally. Here you can see I am cracking. Heavy oil to light oil plus water. Okay. Then light oil to petroleum plus water. That's right about here. Light oil, water, petroleum comes out is the purple one. And there you go. It's a complex recipe where many people fail, but if you stick through, you will be rewarded with what it has to offer. Also, light oil is very important because it lets you make rocket fuel. Rocket fuel is light oil. And here, you can crack the heavy oil into light oil, and you can't get it through basic oil processing. It's just petroleum, and petroleum is achieved through heavy oil to light oil to petroleum, so you can't turn petroleum into something else. Interesting. Okay. So, one of the incredibly important lessons that I still have about Factorio. If you happen to be in a situation like me, when I realized I skipped military science accidentally and I had to make a last-ditch effort to make it, and then, oh no, I ran out of copper, let's go away, let's just wing it to Vulcanus. Please don't restart your game. In fact, I'm gonna make it right here. Don't restart. I can't. I can't accept this. Don't restart your game. Why? Because you learn. That's... If you restart your game, it's like restarting your code project. You're coding, remember? Remember? We code a single project. Factorio 2013. Is this 2012 perhaps? I don't know. But 2013. Can you imagine how long has it been? It's 2024 now. And that's the 1.1 update. We're at 2.0. And it's probably way beyond 750 lines of code, 750,000 lines of code, since this 2020, 2021, then 2, 3, and 4. I'll say it again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is about to approach 1 million. In fact, I believe it's way more than 1 million. Because Factorio 2.0 comes with 3 mods: elevated rails, quality, space age. It was just the base game before. It was just that. Cut of Novi Skull. There you go. I did cut of the Novi Skull. I think there. Yep, Steam Engine, cut of the call. 7.5 hours ago. Now, what's the story of when I went to space? I get this rocket science. I make the space science, and then I realize, oh no, Copa, I'm out. So I had already created a space platform, and when I realized that I really don't have a way to fight with fighters, because I tried to fight some of them, it didn't work out. This was the closest nest, by the way, and those definitely are closing, which means they are new nests. This is an old one. So I did tap into New Island, but when I went to space, I realized I just can't get this copper, I can't get the other copper. This one is just too far away, too obstructed with biters. This one even worse. And skipping military science was just such a massive mistake for me that I decided to start over, and I'm going to show you. Save game, second attempt timeline, and again. I thought that if I start again, this time better, I'm going to plan a very good game. I'm going to let me just show you this blueprint. Why is it dark? I hate the darkness in this game. So this is the sim for furnace header, where you just have a coal belt, you split there, underground, very simple things. No more underground through here, then splitter again, then splitter here, then the workhouse, then underground here, and goes to the next section, and it was just so complex. This, simple, easy, much more expandable, much more friendly, much better designed. And you can see how I had plans everywhere. Plans to expand, plans to build more. I intentionally built this, and I didn't build this to be copper because I knew that I wanted this to be iron as well. This will be copper. However, I played a few hours and I eventually realized that I should just go back to here. And by the way, this mod testing timeline is basically me trying out the replayability mod. This is my own local mod which I make for the reason that I don't really like how sometimes you take 3 hours in the game to complete a task. And here I just try to experiment with quality sometimes, space platforms, I don't know why. And the throughput one. This is just crazy. You get one infinite chest. Calcium. That's the only infinite chest that's an inverse. And all of those infinite chests are the outputs. assembling machine 3, 69 crafting speed. Foundry, 250 crafting speed. Look at that. Stone. And that's 4 stacks of stone. So each item that you see is 4 times multiplied. The same doesn't go over here, because you just can't stack. But can you imagine? This is the only infinite chest that's around. And also this accumulator, which creates an infinite amount of 500 gigawatts of energy, and I'm using 1.2 gigawatts from the 1000 beacons, from the 640 stack inserters, the foundries, and the assembly machines. That's just... there's something incredible about this. The fact that this is the only infinite chest that opens. And then look at the production. I'll just let this speak for itself. So, the reason I'm showing you this is because it's part of the system, and you can't expect to have this nice build of 100,090 science per minute. Which, let's be honest, there's research productivity now. If we just imagine that we get to this level of research productivity, which costs 1 million science, we somehow copy what we did for red science with all of those, which is going to be very difficult. You can see there's two different types of what. So when I get to the second one, you can imagine this science pack drain 50% is basically double. So this number, double it. 190k, 380k. And how about if we put some quality modules? There's like 6.25% chance for the quality to go up, and while this may be useful in some cases, I don't think it's that useful, because this thing literally gives you 25% productivity. So what's the math behind this? The math that I'm going to is, if you look at the science remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, if there's 2 remaining, so it's uncommon quality, then that means one science is equal to 2. So basically double the production number. Or we can do that. Double this number to 380, and since we already doubled it with the lab, you can probably see where this is going. We quadruple the science. But that's only if it's uncommon quality. But how do we get to uncommon quality? Let's say we have 4 of those legendary modules. 6.25, let's just simplify to 6. 12.5, 24, 25. So 4 modules give 25%. This means that 25% of the science we make, and a little bit of that is going to be rare quality, but most of it is going to be uncommon. About 90%, I think. So the 90% of uncommon quality, let's just say all the 25% from the quality modules is a good high quality. So you get 75% of normal science that's just doubled by this one. And then you get another 25% of the science that gets doubled and then doubled again. So relatively it just only gets doubled, because normal is times 1, uncommon is times 2. This will probably be more easy to visualize. So 25% are equivalent to 2. Double the science. I think this should mean that those 25% are equivalent to 50%, so you get 125% of science in total, the 75% and the 50% from uncommon quality, because those 25% of uncommon actually are doubled in value, so you get 125%. And that's for 4 quality 3 legendary modules. Those legendary. But if you get those legendary, you get the 25% with a single module. Interesting how that works. But anyway, I think module suits too. So you can add another 50% to this one, module suits 4, another 100% to this one. So not only do you double again with 4 of those, because 4 times 25 means 100% extra. So quadruple with only this bio. Quadruple this number with those and those. This game is just getting crazy. And then multiply that number by research productivity. absolutely serious. Not only do you quadruple, let's say that research productivity is just 100% extra. We said that this buy consumes half the science pack, so it doubles, and then 4 modules of productivity 3 double again, so 4 times, and then this, which only costs 7,000 science of all, plus all the previous, so maybe 14,000, 20,000 of all sciences. That's not that big of a deal. 20,000 science. It's crazy. You multiply your science by 8 with just this biome and this research. And let's say that you do this like I've done here. 100% productivity. 100%. This basically creates one full belt of red science for every half a belt that goes in. Because of the 100%, so the output doubles. You can see how one copper plate, one iron gear equals one automation science, but with the 100%, one of those equals two of those. So half a belt of this, half a belt of this equals a full belt of this. And that's why I've copied them. If I turn on belt caps, you can see it. There's no gaps in this, fully saturated. 60 times 4, 240 items a second. Thank you, all to say, for breaking the moment that I was trying to create for a moment. But anyway, at this point, most of you may probably have clicked off, and I don't really want to edit this video. I just want it to be raw, to be this serious thing that I've come to realize. That when I came to Vulcanos, I spent 3 whole hours. Let me just show you that. Normal timeline. So I get to space, I get to Vulcanus 26, I quit the game, and then Back from the Despair pops up. And I get my first foundry where I start feeling like, yay, finally I'm playing the game. Vulcanus 26, Foundry 29 hours. 3 hours of despair. 3 hours of me feeling terrible because I don't have novice to supply me. I have to do everything by hand without robots because I'm stupid and I forgot to take the robots with me. And then it snowballs. Half an hour. Just half an hour to get 3 more. And here I got distracted. I think I destroyed all of this so it could be rebuilt. And you can see a new arrangement over here, another tree. And then I just start playing the game, fighting, and so on. This one, Foundry, mining through. Foundry 32, 8 more hours, mining through. Foundry, 8 more hours, mining through. 8 hours for this progression. I just... Yeah, this game is not a game, it's a job. And that's what I'm trying to get to. When this game is a job, you have to figure out ways to make it more efficient, ways to make it better. And that's why the new end game that the Factorio developers have created is under this methodology of the player will optimize everything regardless of how fun it is. The player will optimize the fun out of the game, and that's what they took. They made the most optimal way to play a more fun one, instead of the optimized way to play being the boring way. There's still way more to go, but I think the Promethean Science Pack is just amazing. I haven't gotten to this stage yet. As you saw, I'm only on mining drill on Vulcanus. I'm only here. Haven't touched Gleba, haven't touched this Fulgora. Let me just vote the other save so you can understand better. Yep. Tungsten steel unlocked by craft big iron mining drill. That's where I am right now. None of those. I just keep. This one was researched very late on Novice when I start feeling the despair. And then wing it to Vulcanus. Use what you have. Use your space platform. As you may see, the space platform does not exist. Because on Vulcanus orbit, there's this large medium asteroids. And so what happens when you hit medium asteroids is they deal damage. I basically had some sort of system, but my blueprint got destroyed. It didn't work out very well because my turrets run out of ammo. And you can see I did some math in my notebook, which says that with yellow ammo you deal 5 damage plus 1 because of the damage here. But then you also deal another 20% of damage because the turret stacks. But this is unsustainable because for every time that you kill a medium asteroid, let me just show this. You kill a medium asteroid, you get 3 of those. You kill them, you get 2 of those. And so my assumption is that we get 3 times 2 is 6 metallic asteroid chunks, and then we can process those 6 into 120 or plus 20% extra. So let's say 140 iron ore. But there's 3 types of asteroids. Of course, the metallic is the most common one, and the oxide is the least common one. You can see this here: oxide, carbon, metallic. Oxide, carbonic, metallic. Oxide less common, carbon more common, metallic most common. And you have to take it into account that about half or a little bit more than half of the time you will be killing those, and those don't make iron, and iron is ammunition. So let's assume this the chances were equal, so this was 33%, and so it just isn't really sustainable with just 20% damage bonus that stacks on another 20% on the turrets. To kill this and this, and then get enough iron back that you refuel with enough ammunition that's equal to this damage. So 400 and then 440 base health, 100, there's no physical resistance here. So if those are 3, because 3 small metallic asteroid chunks, 440 plus 3, 740 base health. You must replenish 740 iron, 740 damage in ammunition. Basically what I mean is this thing deals 5 plus 1 and then plus another 1 point something. So let's just say this deals 7 damage right now, because this is the ammo and then the turret bonus damage. 7 damage, and each magazine has 10, so 70 damage. You would need 10 magazines, which is equal to 40 iron plate, in order to create 700 damage, and you still need 40 more, so 44 iron plate for 1 more firearm, which gives you 70 more total damage. And you can see 44 iron plate is required to replenish the lost iron, the lost ammunition that was spent on killing this single asteroid. 44, and then get this and get this, those don't replenish iron, only this one does. So 44 times 3, let me just, I'm starting to get tired of this. 44 times 3, 132 iron in total. And as we said, this gives 6, let's just 6 times the processing, 6 times 20 is 120, 132, 120. That's the amount of iron you get out of this single medium asteroid. Single medium asteroid times 3 times 2 is equal to 6, and 6 of those turn into 20 iron ore, so 6 times 20 is 120. So it's not even sustainable to just kill those, let alone kill those and those. And I am ignoring the 20% extra because this is at a low scale, so you may get, look, if it's at a high scale, like you process 1,000 of those, you are guaranteed to get 20% of 1,000, which is supposed to be 200. You are guaranteed to get 1,200 metallic asteroids, or actually 1.2 maybe. 6 times 20 times 1.2, yeah, 144. It is sustainable now, but it still won't sustain you if you kill a medium carbonic asteroid. So that's the reason I tore down the space platform. It just could not survive dealing with those. It can survive, however, dealing with those, because they don't have a health. And this one is endgame, and I really like it, because gathered from, and only this one appears in the world. It appears on the space rocket. So far, I've only seen people go up to this distance, something like here. No further. Nope. Somewhere here, and that's it. That's your best score. 51 asteroids per minute means that you get about 1 asteroid a second. And you can combine, yes, here 66 per minute, so 1 a second. And when you get one of those, let's say, huge oxides, 1 per second, you get to deal 5,000 damage per second. And that's why it's difficult to go far out. 5,000 DPS times all those, and those that appear right about here. 51 a minute, 43 a minute, 33 a minute. You can just see how crazy this is. Wait, why is the huge? Why? Why? That's metallic, that's not promethium. Huh? Huge promethium? That's not huge promethium. That's huge metallic. Huge oxide? That's not oxide. That's not huge carbonic either. This is huge carbonic. Anyway, that's why you should be posting book reports or updating the game, which I obviously haven't done, since I'm still on 209. This video is getting quite long already, but for those of you who just want to stick around, still learn something new, I will just mention that it's very connected. This is the best game. This game you don't want to play other games because other games get you into this addiction type of mentality, and this one isn't different in the addiction, but this one is different in that it gives you value back. Other games leave you feeling empty, feeling useless, feeling despair sometimes after you stop playing them, of course, because while you play them, they are made to be fun, they are made to be happy and nice and all that stuff, but you stop playing, you feel that post gaming type of emptiness, which, let's be real, we don't want that, and it's a dead giveaway to something deeper, to something that tells you, hey man, you are not living your life correctly. That there's no simpler way for me to say it other than just fix your life. Don't play games for the gaming, play them for the value. And Factorio gives you an insane amount of value if you want to be a programmer. Arithmetic combinator, decider combinator, selector combinator, constant combinator, power switches, programmable speak. Look at this name. Programmable speak. If you have an interest like so many people do today, to play, to create games, to play games, to do coding stuff, this is the game that you want. Music in the background. This one is freaking out because you can just cycle through multiple messages. Do I have those? I do. Not connected. Always show in chart icon. Let's say icon is yellow inserted. Hi there. And then I connect it. This is a list. I think you already know. You already know. Let's just info 1. Info 1. Add the message. Let's say swap now. Where? Alright. Now that I realize this, it might be the first time you see somebody do this type of Q, the Q, the. It's really useful. You just pipette the Q. Can you? No, you can't. You can pipette the equal sign. 3. Book. Read. Read, bro. Just read. Hidden. Where the power at? I can't. Can I? No. Why? Ah, filter conflict. But, okay. Read. Where the power at? Hidden. Read. I love this. How did I not do this earlier? And you can just make a binary type of counter. 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you get 4, 3, 1? How do you get 5, 3, 2? How do you get 6? All of them. And I think the logic might be binary with this one. Not sure. 1, 2, 3. No, it's not. 1, 2, 3. 4. No, 4, 5, 6. So, that I think is impressive. My voice is a bass, so every time I start singing higher, it sounds kind of. Da, 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 da. But anyway, this is not a singing tutorial. This is Factorio. This is why you should play it. And why you should not play other games other than Factorio. If you want to get into programming, if you want to get into discipline, if you want to get into some more important things in life that can help make this brain work. Because what I've realized over the years is too many people, you know, the Factorio community is huge. There's millions of Factorio people, Factorio engineers. But too many people are absolutely stupid and incapable of being this guy. Completely incapable. Just gonna check if. Yep, I'm recording. Why? Oh, interesting. 250 out of 500. I didn't know demolishers were that precise. Nice. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? When is it 250 out of 500? Why is it not? Interesting. This this should be half full, I guess. But I guess not. Anyway, too many people are just incapable of thinking of complex problems. You give them green science, they struggle. And I do have to agree with some of those people because green science looks like this complex machine. Here. How do you feed this with green circuits? You get the blades, you get the gears, and how do you feed this with green circuits? Oh, here. And that's where many people just struggle. Also, why have I turned this off? If this is buffered. Oh, I think. Never mind. Maybe this one. People struggle. And that's what I've realized throughout over these years. Some of you may look at this and may say, but how do you struggle with green science? It's so simple. And that's where you have to understand that. Just like I understood it the difficult way. People can't think. People have difficulties with focusing. People have ADHD, and I think that the modern world is filled with people with ADHD, and it's not because they have ADHD, it's because they developed it. How do you develop ADHD? Well, go play games where in the first single hour of gameplay you get to physical projectile damage 100. And all you do in that game is not all of those cool and nice and interesting things that all combine together into a whole system of solving complex problems. But it's just shoot enemies, get money, get upgrade, shoot enemies, get money, get upgrade, shoot enemies, get money, get upgrade. What is this? Why do you play those games? Dopamine? Easy to access? Dopamine is good, but it becomes your enemy when you start taking it cheaply, like from YouTube or from games. Dopamine becomes your enemy, and you should be aware of that. This game is not dopaminergic. It feels like work, and that's by design. That's because Friday effects. Right here, you can read it yourself. I firmly believe that this Friday effect was written to say, okay guys, we created the game to feel like a job. That's what we want from the game. We want it to be analogous, so it's a perfect analogy, this game, to creating your own code, to creating your own project, to creating your own games. That's why on YouTube there were videos why Factorio is like software engineering. Yeah, YouTube video. Factorio teaches you software engineering, seriously. And this is in 2013, it's before. Well, this is before the video, but the video is before the expansion. And this is while they were creating the new space age. This is while they were creating it. So they knew what they were going for. They knew the design philosophy. They knew holds shareholders. How would shareholders react if you tell a shareholder, hey man, hey guys, we are going to create a game that feels like work. It feels like a job, and people are going to like it. How do you think they would take that? Do you seriously think that would be allowed? Why are no games like Factorio in the AAA industry? Because it feels like a job, and we love it. Factorio teaches you software engineering. It is the best game ever. It is the most practical game ever. For you to learn practical skills, you learn to code in Lua. Those are C++, I guess. Because the back end of the game is C++, but the front end of the game, the modding community, is in Lua. Factorio modding API. This is all Lua. A modified version of Lua. Similarly to Lua U. Roblox. But Lua U is much more different in that it's specialized for Roblox. So it is practical, it is useful. And by the way, if you want to go make games on a Roblox, please don't. Please don't use Roblox. You'll thank me later. Please don't. Because I use Roblox, and the reason I use Roblox is because that's the only engine I know, and that's the engine that I know entirely. Like, every time I try to learn a new engine, I come back to Roblox because I already knew how to do the said feature in that engine because of the amount of years I spent with it. And that's the only excuse you're allowed. If you already know an engine for many years and you don't have a good enough reason to want to change to a different engine, stay with your engine. But if you want to make games with Roblox Studio and you don't already know Roblox Studio for more than a single year or so, just stop using the engine. Thank you. You'll see why yourself. You know why. This video is not about that. But this is some very practical knowledge. Also, priorities. If you're moved by this, if your emotion when you read this is, I wish my boss had these priorities. Consider applying for a job at work. See how simply they plug themselves. Job at work. By explaining this whole thing. It's just a masterpiece, this one FFF. This single Friday fact was the tipping point for me. It was the time I understood what the developers wanted to say. I didn't ask them yet on the Discord server, but I'm pretty sure that this is what they meant. They want the game to feel the way it feels. They don't want the base game to feel easy, the base game to have content that is faster. They only simplified the content because they knew that nobody is going to be capable of playing the old game. Like, if rockets are 20 times cheaper, rocket parts 50, and they used to be rocket parts 100, and every rocket part costed like 10 ingredients. So rockets are 20 times cheaper, and this has been simplified because it was a rocket control unit, which requires processing units and something else that I forgot about. Actually, rocket control unit Factorio. Yeah, this was a joke. And obviously they would simplify it. Why would they do it? Why would they keep this stupid item? Because it's literally two items make one item. We already have so many examples of that in the game. Two items make one item. 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 Two items is two items make one item. It's just not interesting to have to build so many assemblers for so many different items where the input is just two items make one item. See, those two, those, this one. It's just not an interesting game. Two items make one item, two items make one item. But the interesting thing that happens is when you start mixing the new content is full with that. The foundry. The new content is full of liquids. See, lubricant, lava, water, molten metals. This one molten. Everything here has a liquid. Everything. There's not a single recipe. Well, even this one, molten iron. This one, molten iron. This one, molten copper. Liquid. This one is different. This one is old. Different. This is just an upgrade. But here, liquid, lubricant. Lube. The new content. Liquid. There's no liquids here. Liquid. You can see how frequently new content uses liquids. I believe ammonia is also a liquid. Liquid. No liquids here. No, here, liquid. No liquids here. The new content is filled to the brim with liquids. To break up the game, to make it more interesting, to make it less monotone and less just place an assembler, place an inserter, place another inserter, place a long inserter, and that's it. This can handle 4 item inputs and 1 output. What's the challenge in this? There's no interest in it. And there's so many of those recipes with novice technology. And novice technology is everything that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 science packs. All of those 7 science packs are novice technology. The things that are not novice technology are the new science packs. The metallurgic, the agricultural, the electrochemical, cryogenic, and this black one. Promethium. But you can see here, this unlocks gleba, agriculture. So this cannot be unlocked until you go to gleba. These two, this, and this. This can't be unlocked until you go to both of those planets, Vulcanus and Fulgora. And so the whole point is that the game just becomes more interesting. They found where it was boring, they cut a little bit of it. They cut the rocket control units, because rocket control units are practically useless. And I should have researched that. It's just so much better now. Some people complain about the trigger technologies, and I disagree. I just can't bring myself to agree with you guys. Look at this. Steam power, craft 50 iron plate. Electronics, craft 10 item copper plate, but when you craft those, you have them. You don't spend them. Here, you spend 75 science packs, which is expensive and time consuming. And people don't complain about having to spend science packs, which is expensive and time consuming. Here specifically I visualize YouTubers. YouTubers don't complain about spending 75 science packs, but they complain about having to go and touch a single uranium ore. Come on. Why? Why do we have to complain about this? Just research that, find your uranium patch, place a single drill. Have a sulfuric acid barrel. I believe you can barrel those. Have this sulfuric acid barrel and just research when you mine the uranium ore, it will show a green line here. It will make it as a triggered, but until you research that, it won't unlock. If you've already... Wait, now that I think about it, you can't mine this until you research that. Yeah, so you have to first research that and then that. But for example here, you can just get steam power and get the minimum 10 electronic circuits, each requires 1.5. I just remember there was a point in my early progression where I had this automation science pack with the green wine on top. It's barely visible, but the green wine on top. But one of those was not unlocked, and basically this is red, because it's not, you're not capable to research it, but you have electronics, maybe you have one of those, but not the other. And at the instant you research the other technology, this one researches instantly with the other technology. It's basically like a buffer. If you craft a WAP before you get for 50 iron plate, the time you get the 50th iron plate, both of those research instantly, but obviously in order. First this one, then this one. So you can buffer technologies if they're designed to be bufferable, which this one is not. This one is not as well. I believe, yeah, this one is not bufferable because Bioflux is unlocked here and Biochamber is unlocked here, and Yumaku tree and the other tree is unlocked. Actually, you may be able to buffer those, I don't know. But overall, if not at those trigger technologies or like my replayability mod that I develop locally, and I'm not willing to publish it because I just don't want. Maybe I'll change my mind at some point, but for now, no, I'm not publishing that. these mods that I created changes some of the technologies to become easier. So like this one requires you to craft belts, and while you craft belts you can keep them, you don't have to spend them. And that's the cool thing about this. You can also see how crafting 50 steel is basically free. You research this technology for free. You research it when you craft 50 steel, but this is free because the 50 steel can be used for something else. You can also do the same for automation. Maybe gun turrets. Craft 10 yellow ammo, for example. Because gun turrets are a must have. You don't need to focus on researching those. And it's great for speedrunners because the speedrunner knows he can just mine and expand the burner phase of the things without worrying about research. Or he can immediately go research and buffer some technologies because now the research queue is basically forced. You can't turn the research queue off like you used to be able to before, but I love that because you weren't capable of doing this. The new functionality, it's incredible. I love it. It's amazing how that works. So yeah, a very long, a very winded video, but I think it's useful. I think that for some of you, watching this one might end up being more eye-opening than some of those other, like the speedrunner videos, the normal content videos, the normal creators. It's all good. It's just teaching you about the game itself, how to play it. But personally, I think you might find this one really helpful. And it's a long one. I will try to cut it up, but to be honest, I don't want to. I don't want to spend all the time cutting up the video because I know that when I'm speaking from heart, it has a value. It has some sort of meaning to it. To, to release the video completely. That's the old music. Now this. But the new music is amazing. I am gonna end this video, but before I end it, I want to show, where was it? Factorio. Yeah, here's my notes, all the random stuff that I make. Here's the data, the space age, 1 hour 46. Okay. Space age, sound, ambient, and then you get all the. Let's try space. So I'm just gonna end it right here. Absolutely phenomenal soundtrack. And with that, I would have to say bye bye.